Hi everyone, my name is Emily Mercado, owner of Loves to Travel the World Travel Agency. I'm bringing another video to you today. It's one of the more popular questions that I get when I book cruises for people is how can I choose the best cabin on a cruise ship? It's just something that's very interesting for me to think about, and it's something that I try to help my clients decide as well. Basically what works for them and what doesn't work for them. But I do have a couple of things that I would like to bring forth in terms of how you can go about choosing the best cabin and some of the top advice that I give to my clients. So, what's the best cabin on a cruise ship? That's a question that I get asked pretty much every single time that I book a cruise for individuals or families or large groups. The short answer is that it depends. It really depends on your personal preferences, and it also depends on your budget as well. Many say, many people say that suites are actually the best cabins on board for a lot of reasons. Maybe space wise, because they are significantly larger than your average stateroom. Maybe because, it allows a greater deal of privacy, maybe the location of the ship, but many do say suites are the best cabins on board. Usually suites offer a separate living area from say the bedroom. Sometimes there are two bathrooms, and very often there is a very large balcony attached to these suites. If you have a particular interest in spending time on your balcony, then that might be a consideration. Uh, some some suites offer a separate area on the cruise ship for meals. Some offer lounge access, on the cruise ship. So again, it's just a matter, I think, of your personal preference. I would say that suites are very often the most expensive cabins on board, and if you are on a budget, if you're on a particularly tight budget, then say booking a suite might not be something that you would consider. Do other things make one cabin better than another? Well, sure. Yes, but again, it depends on your preferences and also your budget. So the best cabins, as a general rule, regardless of whether it's an interior cabin with an ocean view, a balcony, or a suite, usually they're located lower on lower decks, which doesn't necessarily make it worse. But what you want to do is generally what I suggest is to avoid cabins that are aft ship, which means, and in ship language, towards the rear of the ship. Usually they're very close to the propellers and they tend to be a little bit noisier, and you can hear and feel the vibrations of the propellers when you are at sea. Cabins toward the front of the ship can be noisy, particularly like when you're going into port, when the anchor is being um, lowered or raised. And of course, when the anchor is being lowered, it's usually just in the morning, and then in the evening, they're being raised when you leave port. Now, kind of going back to the avoid the lower decks, it does provide a little more stability. Um, but if a higher deck is something that you're interested in, of course, I'm not going to ever tell you that you can't book. Usually, also rooms that are near tender cranes, which means that if you're in a port where you're not going right to the dock, where you require a tender to the port, usually a source of noise, generally all day long. Like I said, when a cruise ship stops to visit a tender port, you do hear significant noise from the cranes every time a tender boat is lowered or raised. Usually cabins that are either below or near the gym, the fitness center, lounges, pools, or above, below, or near the theater can be usually quite loud because those are more high traffic areas. And also with the theater, with any theater productions, you will hear noise well into the evening from those productions, whether it's a show or a concert. My best advice is to always check the deck plan when you are booking a cabin, and just to kind of check out what's near what's going to be more near your cabin. And as your travel agent, I can definitely walk you through that process and kind of talk you through like what the different options are. Usually, the best cabins are those that are surrounded by other cabins above, like directly above you, directly below you, and on either side. So this picture actually is an example. If you'll give me a moment, I think I clicked a little bit too quickly. As you can see, the inside rooms here are the ones in the center of the hallway. The lifts are the elevators. And these rooms on the outside here and here have balconies. Obviously, these rooms here and these two right here, any rooms that are close to the elevators, because it is a high traffic area, those are going to be a little bit more noisy throughout the day and even into the evening as well. So some of my other suggestions, if you, like I just said, if you are going to book a cabin that's close to the elevators, keep in mind that it is a very high traffic area, with people taking the elevators, taking the stairs, and you will hear other passengers while you're waiting for while they are waiting for the elevator. So if noise is going to be a problem, then obviously my suggestion would be to book as far away from the elevator as you can. Though some do prefer to be closer to an elevator just out of sheer convenience, just for easy access. Others might prefer to be closer to the pool, so that they can get to the pool area a little bit more quickly. But again, the pool area, the entrances and exits are going to be a very high traffic area. And especially with children, you are going to hear noise from the children and from other passengers. As for me, my own personal preference is to be as far away from the elevator as possible, to have other cabins above and below me, and to be basically as close to the center of the ship as possible without being too close to the elevator. And what I mean by as close to the center of the ship as possible is that I won't feel really that much rocking if the ocean happens to be a little bit rough on any given day. So there are various cabin types that you can book when you're looking at all of your cruise options. Inside or interior cabins are one option, one way to go. There is no window in any of these interior cabins, though with technology being the way it is these days, they do often have an LCD panel where you can, like on one of the walls, where you can see exactly what's happening outside. So that's a pretty cool feature, just really depending on the ship that you choose. If you're on a tight budget, interior cabins are definitely the way to go, as these kind of cabins often cost much less than any of the other options that are out there. If you're going on a longer cruise, say 15 days or more, or if you're on a tight budget, booking an interior cabin is definitely a good way to save some money. And you're more likely to take those longer cruises if you're in an interior cabin, because generally speaking, cruises that are, say, 15 days in length or more, as a general rule, regardless of the cabin that you book, they are going to be a little bit more expensive. If you require a very dark room, when you go to sleep. Interior cabins are your best bet because there is no window, there is no way for any exterior light to come in. Another downside, like I said, is that there is no natural light because there is no window, and the room can tend to be a little bit stuffy as there's little to no airflow, coming in from the exterior of the ship. If you're going, say, taking a cruise that has a lot of ports, like say stopping at a different port every single day, for example, those Mediterranean cruises, an inside cabin works well because you're not going to get a lot of noise, say, from tenders or anything like that. And again, if you're on a port intensive cruise, you're going to be more likely to be visiting visiting your destinations rather than being in your cabin. The next level up is your obstructed ocean view cabin. It's going to run you about the same size as an interior cabin. The only difference is that there's a window, which will let in some natural light. Unless natural light is important for you, it's generally not advisable to book these kinds of rooms unless the price is going to be exactly the same as your interior cabins. The window, it's important to note that even though you are going to be getting a window, it doesn't open. And for that reason, because it doesn't open, something like tenders or cranes or rafts and so forth, obstructs or blocks the view. So I personally, my personal preference is to not book an interior or an obstructed ocean view cabin for those reasons. An ocean view cabin is, again, does have a window, kind of the next step up from your obstructed ocean view cabin. The difference between these cabins and the previous is that you are able to fully enjoy the scenery from the cabin, and there's going to be plenty of natural light. There's nothing that's going to be obstructing the view from your window. It is slightly more expensive than interior cabins because you are going to be getting a window. And you do get a slightly larger layout as well, so it will afford you an opportunity to kind of spread out a little bit more. And this is an example of a window, an ocean view cabin. You do have beds here and the window here and there are light blocking curtains that do obviously close, that will allow you to sleep well in the evening. Balcony cabins is your next step up. I generally recommend balcony cabins, and it is the best choice for most people. In my opinion, balcony cabins are generally the best cabin for everyone because you're able to be outside and enjoy fresh air and even enjoy a meal on your balcony if you so choose. You can be outside without being in a public area because the balcony that you have is for your cabin only. However, in some itineraries, the chances of actually using the balcony are going to be minimal. For example, if you're in like a colder destination, for example, Antarctica, Alaska, you're not really going to want to be outside that much. And if you don't think you're going to be using the balcony as much, then you might want to consider a less expensive option, such as the ocean view with just a window. Also, if you're taking a cruise that's very port intensive, for example, like the Mediterranean cruises that I mentioned before, you're likely not going to spend that much time in your cabin. If you're new to cruising, if you're taking a cruise for the very first time, a balcony may be a better choice for you. And I 99.9% of the time, if you tell me that this is going to be your first cruise, I would recommend a balcony cabin. Most new cruisers think that they might feel a little bit claustrophobic in, say, like an interior cabin or an obstructed ocean view cabin. Which is why I recommend the balcony cabins, because they are slightly larger. Some cruise lines, some of your more luxury cruise lines, like Princess or Cunard, will offer a premium balcony option. They're essentially the same as the balcony cabin, but the only real difference is that you will have a bigger balcony and naturally a higher price. This is an example of a balcony cabin. You'll see that you do have an appearance of a larger cabin, and you do have the option of having a larger bed, and the cabin is right here. Mini suites are kind of the next step up from your balcony. It's the better balcony on a cruise ship. Some cruise lines call these cabins junior suites. So mini suites and junior suites, they're essentially the same. It's kind of your like larger than a balcony but smaller than a regular suite cabin. They're kind of like the mid, like an in between. You do have a larger sitting area than the balcony cabin, and you do often have a pull-out couch, which makes mini suites ideal for families with children. And you can pull out the sofa and use it as a bed, and the entire family can share one cabin. Something notable to mention is that often in mini suites there is a larger bathroom with a full bathtub. If you have small children who take baths, then this is an ideal cabin for you. And there's also a separate shower for you, like as an adult, or if you have a family member who prefers to take a shower. And generally, there's a larger balcony area where you have more room on the balcony. Special VIP mini suites, essentially the same as a mini suite, generally the same layout as your mini suite. However, the best areas on the cruise ship have VIP class mini suites for their passengers. Additionally, these VIP mini suites may have a dedicated space in the main restaurants that will allow guests to skip the line and have a more private dining area. Suites, which are it's the highest category on a cruise ship, generally are the best cabins on your cruise ship, and because they're considered the best, they are also the most expensive. So obviously, if you're on a budget, then this cabin might not be your best option. Usually, suites have a living room and a dining room that is separate from the bedroom. And some larger suites may have more than one bedroom and more than one bathroom, or maybe like a full bath and an additional half bath available to guests. And others you may have a large wraparound balcony, which will be significantly larger than your balcony cabins, or even your mini or junior suites. If you book a suite, often there is a separate restaurant where you can take your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And many cruise lines, particularly your higher end and or your luxury cruises, will offer a specific concierge area and will often include specific butler service with your suites. Other cruise lines might offer a separate lounge or private bar for guests traveling in suites, just so that they can have a more personal, more serene experience away from the general the general suites. So if you sometimes, in addition, there are specific suites that are connected to the ship's spa and will offer unlimited access to the wellness center as part of the price of the suite, where if you book, say, a balcony cabin, you would have to pay extra for the spa. But for a suite, generally the spa and the wellness center would be included in your price. So I do have a couple of tips for picking the best cruise line cabin. If you're booking in an itinerary that you've been on before, I would suggest booking an inside cabin. Because since you've seen the ports before, from your ship, it makes sense so that you can save some money. With a little luck, you can get an upgrade, which means that you will still pay the same price, but you'll get a better cabin. On an itinerary you've never sailed before or in a colder destination, I would suggest booking an ocean view cabin as opposed to a balcony. Because the chances of you, like I said before, the chances of you actually using the balcony in a colder destination are going to be pretty low. But if you still want to see the outside, I would book an ocean view as opposed to an obstructed ocean view cabin. My strong suggestion would be to avoid cabins like either directly below or right around the bars, nightclubs, pools, the buffet, or the gym. Because like I said before, the noise from these areas, they're very high traffic areas, and it can severely impact your quiet time. If you're looking for quiet, like a quiet experience, then cabins around these high traffic areas might not be the best option for you. I would also, like kind of on a separate note, consider cabins that are closest to the areas that you like the most. If you don't mind a little noise, if you want to spend time in the sun, consider a cabin near the pool so that you can access the pool a little bit more quickly. My suggestion would be like if you're traveling to a new and warm destination, I would book a balcony cabin on the cruise ship. That's what I always try to do. Because you can lounge outside and enjoy the new scenery. You can even take a meal on your balcony as well, if you want to eat and enjoy the new scenery. There could be exclusive perks attached to booking a balcony cabin. For example, free drinks or free gratuities, or that you wouldn't have to pay any additional gratuities if you book a balcony cabin or higher. In that case, like if you do get exclusive perks, then in that case, yeah, definitely book a balcony cabin. Um, just in case the cruise is in a particularly scenic destination, for example, Alaska or the Antarctic, even though they are colder destinations, and I just said, if you're in a cold destination, you might want to consider booking a window. In my opinion, a balcony is definitely a must, and I'll explain why. The reason is that booking a balcony cabin is the best option because it will allow you to take photographs or videos without being pushed or without being blocked from finding the best area on the cruise ship. So you do have an automatic kind of built-in picture area that won't be accessible to other guests. For longer cruises, I recommend booking a balcony cabin. Longer cruises, in my opinion, are say 10 or 15 days or longer. And after about 10 days, an inside cabin does tend to become claustrophobic, a little bit claustrophobic, and even your ocean view cabins do tend to become a little claustrophobic if you're going for longer than 10 days. But again, that's just my opinion. It ultimately depends on your preferences and what you feel will be the best option for you and your family and quite frankly, your budget. So thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope it was helpful and informative for you. If you have any lingering comments, questions, or concerns, you can always leave a comment in the comment section. If there's anything that you would have liked to have seen but you didn't see in this video, please let me know and I'll do my best to address your questions. If you would like to book a cruise or if you'd like more information, you can feel free to contact me. Use my email, website. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Yelp, and I'm also on my YouTube. Here's my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed my video and thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.